Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn English with Erica. Today we're going to be talking about ordering coffee or tea at a cafe or coffee shop here in the United States. So let's get started. We're going to start with some vocabulary that you might see on the menu when you first walk in. It can be so confusing. So hopefully after this video, you will be able to go into a coffee shop here and order something that you really enjoy. Okay, so let's talk about coffee first. There's different ways to order your coffee. You can order a plain coffee, but it's going to be kind of an American style. It will be not as strong as maybe a European or a Latin American coffee. Okay, if you're looking for a strong coffee, you're looking for an espresso. Espresso is just basically a really strong coffee. It's made under more high pressure and other details, but what you need to know is that espresso is stronger than regular coffee, and sometimes it comes in a little teacup, okay, because it's so strong and it's so little. It's very potent or powerful. So a lot of people like espresso, but a lot of people also like espresso combined with milk. So the next beverage is a latte. A latte is one of my personal favorites. It is milk-based. The milk is steamed, okay, so it's heated. There's like a little spout that comes out and you heat the milk, okay, and then you add 1 or 2 shots of espresso to it, depending on the size. Okay, you can also add flavor to a latte. Popular flavors are vanilla, caramel, hazelnut. Sometimes there's more fruity flavors like blueberry, raspberry. Those are usually added by syrups, and they will add them by the pump. So you might ask for 2 pumps of vanilla syrup, okay? So those are lattes. Those are one of my personal favorites. I also like cappuccinos. Cappuccinos are similar to lattes, but there's equal parts espresso and steamed milk and like a milk foam, okay? So they're very creamy and smooth, and you can also order them with flavor. Same flavors, vanilla, hazelnut, mocha is kind of like a chocolatey flavor. So you can order a latte or a cappuccino with flavor. You can also order regular coffee with flavor, okay? The last coffee I'll talk about is the Americano. And so that was invented back in war times for people who were in Europe with the stronger coffee, but they were from the United States and they didn't want it so strong. So an Americano is basically espresso diluted with water. So you put the water in first and then the hot water, and then you pour the espresso over it. So that's an Americano, okay? So those are 4 types of coffee that you could order. Okay, besides the regular coffee. So you can order regular coffee, an espresso, a latte, a cappuccino, or an Americano. Okay, those are the 5 basic kinds of coffee that you will see on a menu in a cafe in the United States. Okay, you can also order those coffees hot or iced. Hot is just straight out of the machine, right? Iced is usually just over ice. Okay, so on a hot day, you might want an iced coffee or an iced latte or an iced cappuccino. Usually the espresso and the Americano will be hot. Okay, now let's move on to teas. A lot of people also enjoy tea. So when you're deciding on tea, there are different tastes, right? So there's black tea, which is very common. And there's green tea, which is supposed to have a lot of health benefits, antioxidants. And then there's also matcha tea and chai tea. Okay, chai is kind of a spicy tea. That's actually one of my favorites. So we have different choices for coffee, different choices for tea. Now, if you want to add milk to either the coffee or tea, you have some dairy and non-dairy options. So dairy is just cow's milk, and that comes in different levels of creaminess, thickness. So a lot of coffee drinks like cappuccinos and lattes are made with whole milk, which is very creamy. You can also ask for skim milk, which has less calories. Okay, if you ever hear of a skinny latte, it's skinny because you're using lower fat milk, right? So there's less fat in skim milk than there would be in whole milk. Okay, so you might order a vanilla latte with skim milk. Okay, all right, if you don't do dairy, okay, if you don't either like dairy or it doesn't agree with your stomach, or maybe you're allergic to dairy, there's other milk options. There's oat milk, and there's soy milk, and there's also almond milk. So if you're a vegetarian, you might want to choose one of those milk options, or you might just like the flavor of maybe oat milk with your cappuccino instead. All right, so now you know you can order coffee, tea, change the milk, you can add flavor, okay, and then you have to decide also, do you want it iced or hot? And on top of that, you also need to decide on the size. So the sizes for coffee are usually small, medium, and large. If you're at Starbucks, they rename those, okay? A small is also called a tall. A medium is called a grande. And a large is called a venti. Okay, so we have small, medium, large, or if you happen to be at Starbucks, you'll start with a tall, you can go to a grande if you want medium, and venti for large. So many decisions. Okay, now you've got your drink down, you know what you want to order. They might also ask you at the cafe or coffee shop, would you like anything to eat with that? A lot of times in a cafe or coffee shop, you'll have the option for a pastry. A pastry is like a baked good, something baked. So some options might be a muffin, a blueberry muffin, or a vanilla muffin, or a chocolate chip muffin, okay? A croissant. Sometimes you can get a plain croissant or a chocolate chip croissant. Sometimes you can order a breakfast sandwich or even just a regular lunch sandwich. And a lot of times you can have that on a croissant or some other kind of bread. Those are usually pretty delicious. A lot of cafes will have special sandwiches each day. And if you have a sweet tooth, you might also want to order a cookie. Okay, so there are other things that you can order at cafes, but they're usually baked goods like sweets or some sort of a sandwich, breakfast or lunch sandwich. Okay, one last thing I wanted to add. At a lot of coffee shops here in the United States, you will also have the option of a frozen coffee. So frozen is different from iced because it's blended. If you go to Starbucks, that's exactly what a Frappuccino is. And in Starbucks, you can get a sweet Frappuccino or you can get a coffee-based Frappuccino. So my kids like to order the strawberry Frappuccino when it is summer outside, but I personally love the Java chip Frappuccino from Starbucks. But other than that, I think you have all the tools you need to have confidence to order at any American cafe. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.